Are you ready? Are you ready to pod it up?
Let's go. Let's have fun.
Peatcast it. This is the Simply Youth Ministry Podcast with Doug Fields,
But we are an award-winning podcast. We gotta start promoting that.
Matt McGill,
Let's soak up that awesomeness.
How great is this?
Wow.
Josh Griffin,
Just to throw it in there, not all of our shows are going to be great.
and Katie Edwards.
That's what the teens are saying.
Write in. We'll answer your email.
SYMpodcast@gmail.com. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Simply Youth Ministry Podcast, episode 149. Doug Fields here with my good buddy and all the way back to the 00 member, Matt McGill.
What do you mean all the way back to the 00?
You're a 00 member.
Yeah.
Oh, but some of us around the table are not.
Well, you and I are the only ones here at the table that are the original.
Zero,
Yeah,
zero,
you're the
zero.
original cast members.
Yeah, sure.
We're the write-ins to make it better later.
That's good.
If I
Yeah.
Good job.
All right, and to my left
That was funny.
is Katie Edwards, and we have a guest today, and it's a very special guest, and one of my favorite female friends in the entire world. Her name is Neely McQueen, and she came all the way down from Washington. She's up in Seattle, Washington, and Neely, we're thrilled to have you. You have a new book coming out tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Yep.
And like typical Simply Youth Ministry, we couldn't even get a copy today. So the show is still brought to you
costs
by
extra
99
money.
Thoughts for small group leaders. But it is actually, Neely, the book that comes out tomorrow is 99
Things every girl should know.
Every Girl Should Know. 99 Things Every Girl Should Know. Neely has a rich background in youth ministry. She was on our team at Saddleback for many years ago. She has worked closely with me and PDYM. She was the PDYM queen in terms of gathering mentors all over the world. She did youth
Just
ministry.
for our insiders, what does PDYM stand for?
Purpose-driven youth ministry.
Oh, okay.
She did youth ministry in Seattle, Washington. She's adopted kids. She's married out of her league. Normally I say that about
I know.
guys,
Usually
but-
it's vice versa.
yeah, but she married
not
Josh.
so much.
Josh
Yeah.
is
Actually, both of you guys are kind of married out of your league.
I am totally amenable to that.
Yeah.
Yes, I have married way out of my league.
Seriously. Me too.
So anyway, Neely, let's do this. Give us what did I miss out? What did I miss on that incredible introduction of you?
That was a pretty good introduction.
She loves Star Wars.
I do love Star Wars
Okay.
and Harry Potter.
I
I've
have
seen
Harry
both
Potter.
of those with Matt McGill and Josh Griffin, which is kind of funny.
Can you hear her okay?
She's a little quiet.
Yeah, she's
This
a little
is
quiet.
amazing.
You're shy.
Take your
I'm shy.
You're not shy. It's good that you like Star Wars,
all right,
though,
what
because
else? What
usually
else?
Josh is sitting here. So
That's right.
I still volunteer. I have a small group of girls, sophomore girls, in Seattle, and married to a pastor. And I think
And you have a blog.
I do blog. Look, I'm not as good as Josh Griffin is pushing my blog.
Well,
but
no
I
one.
do blog.
No one as good as Josh
I
Griffin.
do blog at morethangossip.com, which is a girls' ministry blog.
Yeah. And Neely is very much a part of our Simply Youth Ministry family and has been at the Simply Youth Ministry Conference the last couple of years. And we're thrilled to have her write the book, 99 Things Girls
Every
Should
Girl
Know.
Should Know.
Every Girl Should Know. Now, how
Every
is
girl.
that,
And you couldn't
how is
just
that
get
different
one more
from the one
thing?
that you wrote?
Probably
I
better.
just wrote, ours is like kind of, yours is probably a little more serious. Ours is a little bit more fun. Thoughts for girls and guys, about guys, though, is mine.
Oh,
like
okay.
mine's
Yours
for
is
guys,
more
about
sexual.
girls. Totally sexual,
Yeah.
clearly.
Yeah.
And yeah, Kurt and I kind of wrote a yin and yang. So like he wrote for girls about guys, and I wrote for guys about girls.
Yin and Yang. Is that like another religion?
I've heard.
Well, we have. I have pulled out a lot of girls'
Sorry,
ministry
Katie.
questions. Now, if you have questions, you can send them to sympodcast@gmail.com. Although we have enough for next week's show. But if you have them, you know the way that it works is I print them out and those go to the top. When they really should go to the bottom,
Yeah.
they go to the top. I don't know why I do it that way.
Maybe
Maybe
your
I'm gonna
filing
change
system is
it. It's not very
has some
not
things
very
to be
good.
desired.
So next show is 150, and it'll probably be our last show of 2010
right.
because
the year?
the following week will be Christmas,
Christmas?
and then the week after that, I'm
Let's
gone.
get together Christmas Day.
Okay.
Good.
And
like
then,
you,
but on show 150 next, now the promise has been, this is the promise from our producer Chris Davis, who's the king of all Simply Youth Ministry technology. But this is also the guy who promised that he was going to text me when the show comes out on iTunes, so I can Twitter, and he did it once.
If you just subscribe to the show, you get it.
I know. But next show 150, Chris, is going to have
It'll be
a new
site for the live show.
a new site for the live show. Oh, okay.
With a new URL.
Okay.
And pretty.
That sounds
You know what
awesome.
would be nice on our website to actually put Katie's picture in instead of Janice, because it's only been
Might ruin
about
it.
15
Feels
shows.
good. Yeah.
Although Chris has been at 100 shows. He came at show 50.
100
This
shows.
is my 100th show.
Wow.
But it's on the list. Riley's a slacker.
Yeah.
Riley's a slacker.
So anyway, we're very excited about your new book for girls. Tell us, to the team that is listening.
That's what we call the listeners. We call them a team.
The team.
So that they
Okay.
feel
Yeah.
like
Do
they're
you ever
part
listen
of
to our
it.
podcast?
It's all spin.
What's the right answer?
The answer would be whatever is the
Sometimes.
truth.
The truth.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
That's great.
How many times have you
Sometimes
listened to the
it's
podcast?
A handful, but I was at the live one at the Simply conference.
That's right. That's good.
So I've been those. I've seen those.
So that's at least 4, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're a busy mom.
I watched it when you guys or listened to it when you guys were weighing Matt to decide how many minutes you could go. So original, much
Yeah.
more the original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Less now.
Well, here's the deal. Over these faces over here, Neely, on this side of the wall are all the people that have been with us since 00. Okay, you recognize Ken Leslie.
Yeah.
We just got Ken this week, who's got sweet guitars hanging in the
Jim
background.
Clark.
Yep. And this show over here is what we call this side over here is what we call the rewind. They're the people that have gone all the way back to 00
Wow.
and making their way back.
That's a lot of people.
I should put my picture up there. I should
You're on the
Well, you'd
rewind.
have to go to the rewind.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I should join the club.
We're gonna invite other team members to join us that are still significant. They're just not
Maybe they've
rewind.
listened to like 1 or 50.
Yeah, but yeah. So anyway, why would a youth worker want to pick up, why would they want to buy your book as opposed to 99 Thoughts for All Small Group Leaders?
Well, when I was writing it, I was kind of thinking of what I would want to talk about with the girls in my small group before they graduated out of the ministry, and things that aren't always easy conversations or natural conversations. We kind of, it's weird to bring up one of the topics I talk about is what's appropriate treatment from a boy. How should a boy treat you? And it's something you regret not telling a student if they don't have someone outside of church telling them that it's not okay for a boy to hit you. It's not okay for a boy to make you feel less than yourself. You want to say those things, but sometimes they don't naturally come up.
Yeah.
And so to have a book that kind of allows for a leader or a mentor to have, or a mom, have those conversations with a girl naturally, because you read a section together, there's questions afterwards.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, a little bit.
So this would be a good gift for a mom to get a
Oh,
daughter.
totally.
It's great.
So they can either get the book or watch the Lifetime channel.
Or
That was great. That was a great joke. Come
It
on.
was funny. It was funny.
That
there's
was
some funny. I
hilarious.
think we did some funny stuff too in it to have fun, which makes it better than a Lifetime channel. Oh, Matt McGill. Okay, so when I started blogging the More Than Gossip .com, which is about girls ministry, Matt sent me an email for clarity because he was saying, "Isn't gossip girls ministry? Isn't that what girls ministry is all about?"
Yeah, is it really
gossip?"
more than that? Yeah.
So, Matt and I might disagree about girls
Well,
ministry.
and you would fit with everybody else that sits around this table. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's a fun book. I think there's fun topics in the book, and there's serious topics too. So, and I talk about women from the Bible, 7 women in the Bible that every girl should know about. And I think, I didn't know about Jael till I was, in college. And I think she's such an empowering story about a woman who took, justice in her own hands. And it's kind of a cool story that you don't hear about in church typically. And I think it could really help girls feel empowered that God might call them to do something radical.
Yeah. Which Neely,
That's
of
cool.
all the women I know, is the most out there justice-wise, social justice. A lot of big issues that you are dealing with and inviting people to. Your church, Overlake Christian Church, is amazing at making your congregation aware of from sexual slavery to international adoptions to
Yeah.
many other things that I can't think of right now.
Well, we go after three things:
Three
HIV, AIDS, orphans, and human trafficking.
Yeah.
And for us, that's a big part of the gospel. It's just that the good news isn't just about, it is about Christ's salvation for us, but it's also about bringing that justice to and that salvation to others.
That's great. That's great. Well, for anybody that's listening to this on iTunes, the book is already out.
Right.
For the live show, it's not. It comes
Yeah.
out tomorrow.
Yep.
Yep. And Neely is down actually vacationing. She's
I
vacationing
know.
in San Diego.
I'm so happy that you decided to do the podcast on your vacation.
Well, no, I asked her last minute when Josh couldn't be here, and I said, now you can write off your trip. This
Right,
is now.
Now it's a work trip.
So we'll write off the miles we used to get down here.
Definitely.
You can write off the whole flight.
That's right.
Yeah, talk to a tax person.
Okay.
Talk to Dan Hamer. Hey Matt, you've brought in your iPad,
Yes,
and
as I was instructed by our technical director.
all right. So here's the deal. I mentioned this last week on episode 148. We have this German friend right here who looks very German, doesn't he? Because he's not really smiling. But he's
And
one of
not
our
showing his teeth.
he's one of our team members, and his name is Bernard. And he said, and I guess I hacked his last name. So he says, I'm sorry that the pronunciation of my last name that I wrote was so bad. To make this right, I sent an audio file so that you can hear the pronunciation, kind of like a little German lesson. I don't like the English pronunciation of sachet because it sounds too much like sexe. Therefore, I would appreciate if you would
It's
pronounce
obvious
my
he
last
doesn't
name
want to be called sexy.
the German way. So here we go. Maybe for the first time.
Ever.
Well, it is the first time in 149 shows that somebody sent in
An audio
how
pronunciation
to
of their name.
pronounce their name. We have a lot of people, which is a good thing to do, to actually, if you care about how I say it, they give it to me phonetically.
Right. Yeah, German
helps.
phonetics might be
Because if
different.
the last
though.
name is not Jones,
Solid
Might
point.
be, yeah.
I'm going to mess it up.
It's not
Yeah.
Jones Force.
Okay, so I'm going to play it,
Okay.
but we're really, when Chris puts the show together, they're going to put a real audio.
Okay, so
Clip
but
in
we'll
there.
be able to hear this.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
if you're quiet. Okay, here we go.
How's it mouse?
Usually you would pronounce my last name sexy, but in Germany we say Sachse. I say it slowly. Sachse. That's it. I hope this helps a little bit. If it doesn't, maybe you can hear it on Google Translator. Okay, bye.
That was great.
That was so precious.
Neely laughed so much she got a snort out of that one.
Sexy.
Nothing for ungood is
That's
what I
great.
like.
That was
I'm going to have to
precious.
listen to that again because
Sexy.
when I first heard
No,
him, all I could think of is
sexy.
he sounds like a killer.
Like a James Bond villain.
Like
Yeah.
a Die Hard.
He sounded
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
Die Hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, James Bond.
I'm going to track down this podcast and kill you. We're not saying,
Oh,
But
love
we're
American
not-
media.
ladies and gentlemen, A first.
Fields, that
Hey, a
was really
Rewind
funny.
member, Anthony Johnson.
Sexy.
He's been in youth ministry 3 years, learned a lot, and has also crashed a couple of cars due to Matt's cackle. He is made right here. He has made the Rewind show. So Anthony, we welcome you to
that's
the
great.
Rewind Hall of Fame. Another one is Brian Natke. Again, look at that. He
That
pronounced
was
it.
nice.
From Babbitt, Minnesota. On podcast
Babbitt.
147, you have said to send
it's
in my
the whole
picture to your
family.
wonderful warrior
Oh,
wall.
that's
I'm
cute.
sending our family Christmas picture because through you, the podcast has made us a part of your family. Thank you and have a very blessed Christmas.
So precious.
Very cute.
Look at
So
those
maybe we should
cute
call them the
boys.
family instead of the team.
Maybe that's after show 200. We mentioned Ken Leslie. He's on the original 00 wall. Reasons Matt should flack the podcast.
Black.
I don't really know. This is your buddy Mark Eads. Mark Eads also sent in a little wisecrack that we had a typo in our Youth Ministry Daily.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
Yeah, and so now I'm wondering if reasons why Matt should flack the podcast.
I don't get it.
Let Matt know that if Matt decides to, flake, he's probably doing the flake. Remember we said last week
flake.
about Matt's going to be a flake now that he's a youth pastor. Okay, so if Matt decides to flack the podcast, I will stalk him on World of Warcraft until he pays me $1,000 gold.
Wow.
Is that a lot?
That's more than I have. But there you go.
All right.
Flack.
Yeah. We also have, look at this. This one is Megan, and Megan makes the 00 wall.
Oh, nice.
She's a volunteer in youth ministry the last 7 years. She got addicted to the SYM podcast from the beginning. Admittedly, listened to some of them twice. So she's now my favorite.
She's
'cause
like
she's
the
most,
VIP. She's
well,
like
maybe the most psycho.
MVP.
You got to be psycho to listen to it twice.
Oh, I wouldn't say psycho.
I turned 30 a week ago. I wanted to start clean. I hear that acknowledgement is the first step, so she's admitting that she listens to him twice. Maybe it's the first step to stopping the addiction. And then she goes on to write about how she went to the Simply Youth Ministry Conference, how Josh has helped her with some things.
That's
And,
great.
and she says, I have huge respect for Josh as he reached out to a team member when there's so many people vying for his time. Very cool. She's going to be back with us at Simply Youth Ministry Conference.
That's so
this year.
great.
Yeah, hey, let's talk some girls' ministry questions, okay? I pulled those out of the stack. And
What?
Matt
There's
and
two?
No, there's like 8, 7,
Whoa.
6, 3.
That's a lot.
There's one, okay? Now, it says, I'm absolutely loving ministering to girls. This is from Rachel Peterson. There is always something going on in their lives that keeps me on my toes. So here's a question. What do you consider some of the most important spiritual lessons and or disciplines for middle school, high school girls to learn?
Most important lessons. Well, they're all in 99 things.
Oh, there's the spirit of Josh.
I was going to say, you are sitting in the right
That's
seat.
right. I was thinking silence.
I think for
I once went on a
That was funny.
discipleship
Wow.
retreat with Matt McGill.
I
and
know,
he
that
took a
was
small
so
group,
fun.
And we did do
We did some
a morning
silence.
of
Was
silence.
it a couple hours?
Yeah.
That was
and
good.
interestingly enough, it was majority of girls that went on that trip.
Girls are way more spiritual than
It's
guys.
true. It's true.
Okay, let's pause for a minute last night. In our small group, okay, so we do a little Bible study together, and then Kathy takes the 9th grade girls upstairs, and I'm downstairs with the boys. Matt's downstairs too with his last week there, because now
Whoa.
he's flacking and going to Mariners. But our guys got so deep so quick, didn't they?
It was great.
And the girls upstairs cackling the whole time. It was a total role, not the whole time. Kathy said they turned the corner, but total
Yeah.
role reversal. Like, first guy in our group that started talking, 9th grade boy, starts crying.
Oh.
Guys are going deep with areas of their life. It was just
And that's cool.
yeah, I almost wanted to
That's
like, wait, do you guys know
great.
you're not supposed to be doing this as
Right.
9th graders?
Yeah.
But,
That's
okay.
so great.
Yeah, it
It
was
was
great.
really, really
It
cool.
was a great night.
It was great.
This is about girls' ministry, though.
I know,
Not
I know.
freshman
But we were
boys
just
ministry.
talking about
Yeah.
talking about how
I'm like,
girls
I
are
can't
deeper
remember.
than guys. So I had to say, well, maybe in some small groups. So what do you think of the most important spiritual lessons or disciplines for girls?
Well, I think spiritual lessons is probably pretty similar to what guys need to know as far as, you matter, you're gifted, you're called. You have a purpose. Those are the same things. And I think what happens a lot of times is they miss it because the examples that are used are majority are from the Bible are men, are boys. And so they sometimes miss hearing that lesson because we don't typically use stories about women. So sometimes that's missed. So I think like teaching girls about the women in the Bible is a big thing that is missed in a lot of youth ministries. Even our youth ministry, where I feel like I'm a constant voice about we need to tell the stories of the women, we don't do it enough. And so I think they hear, you matter, you have a purpose, just like David had a purpose. And instantly they can't relate because it's not a girl. And the same thing I'd say with the spiritual practices is the same as the guys, And in middle school and high school, I think if they can get in the habit of reading their Bible, having some quiet time. Girls are much better at journaling, so acknowledging that as a discipline and helping them see that more as, a time that they can reflect and be spiritual
Yeah.
is a big deal.
It's good.
I think having female leaders being the deliverers of a lot of that too is not, whether it's a small group leader or a female teaching from the front too. I think I definitely if we were to teach the same lesson, it would have a different perspective, different stories, different examples. And so I think, like I said, even in a small group setting, it doesn't have to necessarily be from the stage, or in the front of the group. But I think that's important too, is just having those types of stories interwoven in kind of everything that you said. So
It's great. Well, I know that. Katie, you teach 3 times a month.
no,
Twice?
not that, well,
your
yeah,
very strong
that's fun.
presence.
I'm up front in the front of the students a little bit more with like spotlights and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But yeah, teaching probably once or twice a month.
yeah, which isn't your favorite thing to do.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like other things too.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I was up visiting your church, you were teaching.
Yeah, I was
You know.
teaching the guys only that Sunday.
Yeah. And
Which
I
is
think
fun too. I love that. Yeah.
one of the lessons I think for a lot of us as youth workers is to say, develop a teaching team and have different people in that teaching team from different perspectives and angles and a whole bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Good. Okay. This is from Britt.
Oh, good old Brett.
Britt Wendell, yes. One of our SYM Inside Track people, which means he helps put on our Simple Youth Ministry Conference.
Oh, that's cool.
What advice do you give to male leaders in ministry to healthily, which I'm not exactly sure that's a word, but
I know. Yeah.
Help, needing help.
healthily invest good, godly male role modeling into the lives of teenage girls? So how does
It
a
fits in the
male
statement,
model do that?
hopefully. in a healthy way.
In a healthy way. Not trying to replace the role of the father, but helping enforce it. In some cases, may be the only voice they hear.
Or reinforce it,
Totally.
probably.
Godly men in girls' lives is so important.
Why?
So important. Well, I think just for a few reasons. I think, a godly man that is showing, appropriate affection, appropriate touch, great encouragement, loving on her, whether she has a great dad or not a great dad, it's just another reinforcement of what kind of godly man she could be looking for, what kind of, the way a man should treat you. Some of the things you're talking about in your book, it made me think of men and girls' lives and just how important it is to have great men,
Yeah.
And I think the affection part, especially learning to, again, appropriate touch, hugs and high fives and things that aren't necessarily crossing any lines, but can show, hey, you can have great, healthy relationships with guys and it doesn't have to cross any lines or boundaries.
Yeah. I think words are so powerful too. I was thinking recently, something that I wanted to blog on about is that I remember my youth pastor, who was a family friend, so I think he maybe felt a little too comfortable around me, but I remember him, he pulled up a couple people for a game, and he made fun of my nose, my beaker nose, and I remember being like,
I've never thought that you've had a big nose before.
I've never
That's
thought that
funny.
either.
But he totally made fun of my nose, and I remember being like a sophomore in high school and being so crushed that he humiliated me in front of all my peers. And again, I think he thought, we're family friends, it's fine. But he
wasn't trying to humiliate you, but that's what happened.
But it was really hard. So I feel like as youth workers, there's a tendency sometimes, like a lot of our love interaction is kidding and playing around. So I think we need, like as men working with girls, you need to just be careful. It's different with your interactions with girls is different. Your words need to be different with girls.
Humor especially.
Yeah.
Like I think humor that you would have with just guys, girls are so much more sensitive to sarcasm and humor and go home and pick apart everything about the joke you said.
Right.
Those types of things.
Yeah.
So humor is an interesting one, I think, as a guy with your girl students too.
I think a huge deal too is modeling healthy relationships with the opposite sex, whether you're single and dating or whether
your
you're
wife.
married. Like for a girl to see that happening in a healthy way, again, same thing as Katie said, gives them something to understand what they need to look for. I think when youth workers talk about their wives in loving ways and ways that are, every girl in the room is like, oh, and they know that that's something that they want. And so I think those are really positive things.
I've always loved that about you. Just, I mean, both of you guys, just the way that you bring your family and your wives into your teaching and stories and, they're a part of your ministry, have been a part of your ministries in different capacities all along the way, but have always been, have always painted a really great picture, I think, for our youth ministry. So I think that's been a cool thing.
That's cool. No, I think about that a lot. I mean, I think about even ways that, Cassie, who's now, the last one left in high school, that when even I see her at youth group, she'll come up to me after I speak, and good job, Dad. But, even how I hug her and, kiss her on the cheek or something like that, as, I think people are watching this. I mean, and that's not why I'm doing it. I would do that. I do that anyway, but I know that how I talk about Kathy and how I, hang out with my kids, and people are taking that taking that in.
Right.
A lot is communicated outside of your message.
Yeah.
The way that you are, the way that you interact relationally, and all of those moments are communication moments. So
Yeah.
I think for girls really pay attention. They're looking for all those communication moments and everything outside of your message too. So I think that's
That's good.
yeah.
That's good. So it's not, guys are just listening.
Hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I think too sometimes like as a guy leader, it's easy to like affirm a boy and say like I see this leadership potential in you. It's a little harder to then do that with a girl sometimes, but I see like even in our own youth ministry with our staff that a lot of times they have their boys that they work with, and so those boys then get, weirdly enough, I don't know if favoritism is the right thing, but they get the stage time, or they're the ones getting mentored into ministry, and so how does a guy then in a healthy way?
So tell us, what do we do? I mean, you look at the wall up here, it's majority male, and what do we need to do better at? I mean, I'm hearing that going, okay, does that? But that's who I spend time with. I mean, I'm spending. I told Kathy last night, Matt's been teaching our Bible study type time, and then when we get to the small group, I'm kind of leading that. Well, Matt walks away next week, be the youth pastor down the street, and I'm teaching that time. I said to Kathy, I got to learn these girls' names because I don't really know them because I don't want to.
Which I think to some level is okay. I mean, I think
in my small group. Now, if I was the youth pastor, that's a different gig. But man, when those guys come into the house, I'm
those are
zeroing
your
in.
guys.
Those are my guys.
Right. Totally.
Well, I think you'll see, like, in our youth ministry experience, like, you'll see girls who are really good at bringing friends, or who are naturally stepping up to leadership roles, and just being available to them and affirming them equally and giving them some platform and encouraging them, like, what you're doing, you're gifted, you're clearly gifted, even when maybe it's not as relationally smooth or natural to happen, just acknowledging that, I think, is a big deal.
And I think in today's universe, culture, guy-girls relationships, it's got to be so careful. But, Brett, I know he just got married a couple months ago. I think that as a married guy, you can have a better ministry to girls than when you're a single guy. I mean, maybe that goes without saying. It's super obvious. But, my first stint in youth ministry, there were lots of girls that I discipled, never alone. I mean, not that kind of thing. But a lot of times there would be late nights after a Bible study where because I was married, it could be me and Mish and Allison, or me and Mish and Kathy Workman, or something like that, where I could talk longer and answer questions or challenges or whatever, because it was me and Mish, together. And so I think that when you talk about this question, what can be a man's role in helping with that? Definitely when you're married, I think that it's a lot easier. I think it's a lot easier that way.
Because when you were single, there were so many girls in the group that just wanted you.
Yeah.
Huge crushes.
Just one.
They just want to.
No, just kidding.
Is there one?
No. Who would know?
I know. I'll tell you at lunch the story.
Yeah. No. That's a funny story. How inappropriate is that?
No, I think the takeaway.
Actually, that was Lynn who's the one that pointed it out. Speaking of insider, now works at the same church that Neil used to be on staff with you before.
Yep.
But she was the one that pointed that sort of thing out. I mean, as a single guy in youth ministry, I didn't even think about, that wasn't even on my mind at all, that girls would get a crush on a fat lard who's 10 years older, But it does happen. I mean, not to me, but it does happen to others.
Sure. It happens.
Yeah.
And to your volunteers too, so learning things yourself and learning how to kind of trickle that down into your single volunteers, your younger guy volunteers and stuff.
So even for those, the people on our team that are listening, as they're training their volunteers, to help them understand that healthy relationships with the opposite sex, as long as it's healthy, that's important. I mean, that's the body coming together. I had to tell Tori, my oldest, when she got into high school, I think I've told this story on the podcast before. So Matt's the high school pastor. Tori's going into summer, going into ninth grade, and Matt has known Tori since she was born. So, and it's like Uncle Matt. So Matt's sitting there, and Tori comes running in and like jumps on him and like wraps her legs around him and like sits on his lap, and Matt was, it's little Tori, but I had to pull her aside after, going, sweetheart, you're in high school now, and that's not appropriate. I know it's Matt, but yeah. Okay,
This is a tough episode to not make jokes or be inappropriate.
Really?
I just would like to congratulate myself.
On your
And I would like to-
self-control.
I would like to congratulate Neely too, because she's the one person that is just as crass as me, which maybe even a little bit more sometimes.
I don't-
Sometimes.
We're doing a good
You
job.
didn't say anything about.
I know. I was holding.
This is great.
I may at the end of the podcast. I may say there's something about Neely's introduction that I forgot to say.
I have to say, I am teaching a workshop at Simply Conference about girls' ministry.
Oh, good. Yeah, there you go.
Excellent. Yeah, so people should go. I'm going to the conference, by the way. I saw your Twitter today. I thought I'd answer that. You asked who was going.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there.
Yeah, this is your verbal.
Yeah.
My verbal RSVP.
This is from Erin Bloom. Erin says she's been in full-time ministry for 5 years now. We're starting a ministry for girls in January. It's a ministry within our senior high ministry, and we're calling it The Gathering. Can you give me some tips on how to think outside the box with girls ministry, and what do you see as the needs and benefits of this type of ministry?
Are you putting your head over your head because you're
freezing
afraid?
right
oh, I
now.
thought maybe you're afraid to say things out
Oh,
loud.
no. When I heard
Self-control.
gathering, I was thinking gabbering.
Putting
but I
on my
couldn't
hood of
come up with a funny way to say that. No, it's not.
That was fun.
Gabbering?
Yeah.
That's good. Maybe that's what it should be called. Not more than gossip, not much more than gabbing. .com. Look at that safe humor. That's good. It's unbelievable. I'm amazing myself right now.
You know what you should do? You should return and rewatch
You just
episodes.
got Chris. Good job.
Either you got Chris or somebody in the live show got Chris. Yeah. You should rewatch episode 149 to see, it's kind of like
What
an
you're
athlete
talking
would
about.
watch their game and go, okay, that's
How'd
how
you do
play.
that?
Okay, I exercise self-control there. Oh, okay, I held back right
Amazing.
there. Yeah.
I am the pinnacle of discernment.
Starting a specific girl ministry.
Do you have a girls' ministry, like
we
specific
don't
at your
actually
church?
yet over, that's one of the things
Yeah, we
that
don't
we're going to
either.
start working on. So the fact that you're even doing a specific girl ministry, you're ahead of a lot of youth ministries, so that's great that you're doing it and you're deciding to get girls alone and talk about things. We used to do a girly retreat, which we did at Saddleback, and we did it over Lake for a while, where we just talked specifically, obviously, about girls' issues. We brought in a lot of people to do panels. We just did at Overlake, which was really cool, a self-defense class. And we didn't know how it was going to turn out, but we had like 140 people show up for
Wow.
self-defense.
That's
and
great.
it was $5, but that money went to fight human trafficking, and we had a couple police officers there. It was really kind of a cool little event.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, it was fun.
Because Jesus punched people.
Right.
Go ahead.
Right. Right. When he was getting attacked by a group of men. Totally.
Yeah, seriously. My favorite. This is the second time. This is great. Katie's trying to not laugh at my inappropriate jokes.
It's so hard for me not to like engage in that dialogue with you. But
Yeah, I'm
that
glad.
was a way of getting under my skin.
Doug is with you right now. Doug is totally with you.
So
Keep
hard
it
for
going.
me.
Okay, so you have self-defense. Turn the other cheek. Go ahead.
Right. Okay.
I'm
So
sorry.
I just don't want to go. Part of me wants to talk about statistics of like girls who
No,
get.
I know. I should not be
Molested
joking.
and
I
raped.
should not be joking about this.
So
I
don't
actually
make me
feel
cry. I'm
bad.
just kidding.
Yeah,
But so I know you're just joking.
totally.
But it really is for a lot of girls an issue. So
Seriously.
put that aside. Like the statistics of girls who, when they go to university, who have no skills and they go on a date and then end
Yeah.
up getting raped is very high. So I think it's not a biblical.
No, it's an important. I
Yeah,
mean,
so-
serious. All joking aside, it's very important stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I sound like a raging feminist right now.
but you're
I'm
not. I mean, we
You're
know
great.
you're
No, you
not. I
don't.
mean,
You're
that's the
great.
focus of this show, but you're not. I mean,
Okay, good. I just want to make that clear. But so the fact that you're ahead and talking about those things and preparing girls, obviously, I think if you found a Bible study on women in the Bible, that would be a great topic. I know that Simply actually has a resource on girls ministry.
Girls' ministry start to finish.
Yeah, so they have.
That's
Some,
good.
I haven't actually looked at it.
There's actually a few girls resources that group and they're great. There's a lot of just great activities and Bible studies, things that can kind of pull girls together with mentors, which I would say too is a huge part about girls ministry, is just bringing in, wonderful godly women who, have a little life experience is great, and just, can be loving on them, and I think that's a huge part of any girls ministry.
I think too, reaching out to moms.
For sure.
Is a big. I had this idea of like movie night with moms and daughters about movies that maybe like Mean Girls. It's an old movie, but the example of like getting the chance for a mom, I love it too, for moms to see a little bit of what's happening in the movie and create some dialogue for them, I think would be really good. Just because a lot of moms, they're naive a little. I don't think they want to be. It just is the nature. I've realized now as a parent, like, you want to think the best, you want to assume the best, but at the same time you want to know what's going on, so you can have those honest conversations. And I think a movie night would be a fun way to break down. Bring in a movie that the girls are watching, obviously know what you're showing.
For sure.
Because there are some movies out there that are targeted at teens that are way inappropriate. So, but I love that she's starting her girls ministry. We should send her. Simply should send her that book.
Okay, we will. Why don't you take care of it?
Okay.
If you don't have the
And send her
resources
your
to
book
start,
too.
All right.
oh yeah, send her yours.
Yeah. So Andy will pay for it.
Totally.
All right.
Some author copies.
All right, let's go to this one from Christine Kelly. One of my struggles as a youth leader to middle school and high school girls is maneuvering the waters of gossip, cutting, sarcasm, and the mean girls guys. What tips can you give on how to advise girls when they are the victims or when they are the instigators? Often the girls have to face their attackers day after day. I feel like I come up short in knowing how to manage these situations without alienating the offending teens, especially when all I'm going by is hearsay, and getting both people in the room with me isn't going to happen.
Ladies are vicious.
We are.
I know. What do you think is a harder group, the instigators or the victims? Because they're such, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it's hard to not to like, depending on where you were as a high schooler.
sure, be mad at the instigator,
Totally.
and
Yeah,
like
that's a
sad
good-
for
that's
the
a good
victim.
angle.
Take your
Okay,
own, like,
so which were you guys? Were you more the instigator or the victim?
I never felt like a victim. I never felt like an instigator either. I don't know. Maybe
Mother
a little
Teresa
bit more of a
over here.
victim, but
Yeah. In
I
junior high, I was
unless
a
you
total
found someone
victim.
who was a little lower on the totem pole than you, and then maybe you're a little
Right.
bit more of an instigator. You know.
I was in junior high. Junior high is like some of the worst years of my life. And honestly, if I think about them now, I still sweat and am embarrassed about moments, because for me, I don't have a mom. Like, I have a mom, but she just was pretty absent, so I didn't have a woman telling me, which I wish my youth ministry would have had women volunteers
Yeah.
who speaking into me, even about things like hygiene.
Yeah,
like,
wear
honestly,
deodorant.
I had no one telling me those things until my dad finally realized I was like struggling big time because I was getting picked on at school so much. So it still makes me like embarrassed. So when I see those girls in the youth ministry, it's hard for me not to get super ticked at the girls who are being mean to them,
Sure.
because I totally identify with them in that area. But I just think mean girls is the hardest. That is one of the hardest things about ministry, youth ministry to girls, I think. And I often think when I'm talking with girls, I remember what you always say, the hurt people, and kind of trying to help them get an understanding that most people who are hurting you are pretty broken themselves, and just trying to give them a little perspective on it's really not about you. The meanness that they're showing or the gossip, it's not about you. It's about their own pain and their own brokenness, and obviously it's not a solution to it, and it doesn't. But I think sometimes it gives them a good perspective of that. These people who are calling you names, like we had a girl in my small group brought up that she does the form spring. Do kids do that up here, down here? And girls were on there calling her names. One told her, like, you should kill yourself. Told her on form spring that she should do this, and just kind of trying to give her some perspective. A, get off form spring, but then B, also that's someone who's so completely hurt and broken, and so it's not you. It's not about you at all. It's it's definitely their own issue, and so I think that's the biggest thing you can do to help a girl. And I think gossip is, you're going to be fighting that one as long as there are
Our mouths.
live on the
girls,
earth.
girls in the youth ministry.
But teaching, talking about it individually. I mean, I think trying to break it down individually with girls and talk to them individually, I think is huge, because it's all so different for them. It's so personal and so individual.
Right.
So collectively talking about it and teaching, great, but also, one-on-one stuff's good too.
Putting some real definition on it too, because we say gossip a lot, and what does it mean?
Sure.
So
Yeah,
I feel like
good
that's
point.
a big,
Yep.
big barrier. Girls don't understand what is gossip.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, gossip's bad.
Or gossip's like when I'm saying something negative.
Totally, yeah.
Versus, or I've said it to their face, so I can say it here. Well,
Right,
is
right.
that still? So it's
Yeah.
Okay, this is this is from John Batch. John Batch is a 00 podcast team member.
Is there any hope
And
for ladies?
it says, how do you deal with the drama? Many of our junior high girls live drama and often they create it themselves. So how can we speak into their lives and help them avoid and minimize it?
We've talked about drama before, I feel like. A little bit.
I think so too.
I
I can't remember what we said about it.
Well, I would say too, I think a lot of girls get caught up in drama because they don't really have a purpose. I think, and I'd say this about self-esteem too, a girl feels so horrible about herself because she doesn't understand that God has gifted her and called her, and so she gets caught up in the little things, the flaws that she sees in herself.
Neela.
That is a
And
great
so,
insight.
helping them realize they have a bigger purpose. And I think
Is that in your book?
It sure is.
Oh,
Yeah.
Page 72.
That's right.
See, that's a weekend message coming up right there. I mean, seriously,
That's such great insight.
I mean, that is one of the ways to attack, you attack a problem in a youth ministry is address the positive side of
Yeah.
it.
Well, and I think if you look at a lot of girls who end up seeing injustice in the world, and that's a lot of reason why we got into social justice issues, is we knew we needed to take this energy that was so negative on the inside and kind of figure a way to get outside of the walls. And so you take a girl who is caught up in drama and suddenly realizes that something unjust is happening in her own neighborhood, and she wants to fight it. She takes that energy that she's using in drama and puts it somewhere else. And so I think that's a big way to, obviously you're not going to eliminate it because some people aren't going to buy into it or understand it yet, but I think that's a big.
That's good. You have such better content than Josh. So that is.
Great. I mean, I'm sure you just sold 500 copies of your book.
Yeah. No,
Just because it's such great.
okay. Last question. Last question of girls. And let me while you're answering, I'm just going to see. This is my stack of go to if we went through these too quick.
Okay.
But I got plenty of questions for next week. But you can still send in your questions. sympodcast@gmail.com. This is from Jonathan Kelly. Always looking to find a way to bring up a girl's inappropriate dress when I don't have a female leader around. How can I be a leader and not a creeper?
Teach on Jezebel.
Well, our team members are sensitive to being creepers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's nice.
That's good.
That's
Hey, Neely, while we're saying this, where is
Jeff Stewart.
poor guy?
Sweet Jeff Stewart
he's-
up in the corner.
he's got a
I
new
am
picture.
Totally offended.
Oh, is it the new
Because-
picture? Oh
No.
yeah,
No,
Up
I'm
in
just
the corner.
kidding.
great youth worker.
Yeah,
He's got a picture of all the kids
crushed
in
his
his
spirit.
youth group hanging on the wall, and Katie called him. That's a little creepy. And I
Doug, in a side note, I didn't even say it, and
Yeah.
then Theo
You have to say, he's
says
like the
it.
media. You have
No,
to
it's
say,
the
is this
show.
off the record?
Hey, no,
It
it's,
was off the record.
this is our team. We talk. What is in this room is for our team.
Look,
now
when you
she
look at the-
apologized. He
He
forgave.
forgave me.
And
But now he's
and
referring to himself as a
she's
creeper.
recognized it as good
Different
youth
guy.
ministry.
Oh.
Yeah, no, different
Not
guy.
the guy.
Okay, so
I
how
just
do you
hear creeper a lot, I feel.
how do you address inappropriate clothing when I mean it's hard, it's difficult to do when it's a girl, because when
Yeah.
you and I worked together, I mean there was times where I remember going, Neely, would you go talk to that?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's
I
the
feel like
great
it's always at camp.
that's
'cause
the
that's
great
when
thing
people
about being a
feel
guy,
like
When
they,
they
too.
come out with their white bikini, you're like,
Totally. You're like,
oh, really? Oh, that was a good idea.
Or they're lingerie pajamas. They're like, right, okay, cool.
Totally.
Yeah.
Because for
Yeah.
guys it's more like, hey dude, if you don't pull your pants up, I'm gonna put rope around your waist.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay. So it's guys stuff easy to do.
Yeah.
So, it's hard for me to even think of an answer because I feel like I would
Find a girl.
Find a girl to
I
tell
was
them.
just
Like,
thinking that.
I think
Maybe if you have a trusted
Yeah.
parent or,
Yeah.
you know, somebody working with you, I would find a girl, you know, if it's possible.
even a student. I mean, I don't know.
Not
No
a
student.
student.
No.
But just, I would just pull her aside and just say, you know, hey, you know, what you're wearing tonight, you know.
Yeah.
Do you start the conversation with, hey, hoe bag?
True or false? You want to look like a hooker? No, I think the biggest thing you could say probably is I might even ask the question like, I'm wondering what kind of attention you're hoping to get tonight by the way you're dressed. You know, like.
See, now that feels like you set them immediately on the defensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's it. That's hard.
But that's not as bad as
hard. I
saying,
don't
so how come your dad never loved you?
Right.
I mean, I've
Definitely
said
a
that
step
before,
lower.
and that's
Yeah.
You
rough.
said that?
No,
Oh.
But see, that really is the beauty of having good women in your
Yeah.
ministry who can.
Yeah.
It's probably happened to them before, where
Totally.
you know they don't understand how guys think, and
Yeah.
some of it is innocent. I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
you
Well,
know-
when you walk through clothing stores today, I mean,
Yeah.
stuff that's on the front racks
Yeah.
is definitely not the. You have to work hard to dress modest a
Yeah.
little bit in our culture.
yeah,
Well, and I think some people are like, there's a female volunteer we have over who I think is hypersensitive about what girls are wearing. Like she would say what I'm wearing now is probably inappropriate, and so I'm
I
always
was
Well,
thinking
it is.
the same thing.
oh, goodness.
Are you trying to look like a hooker? True or false?
True or false?
True. Just kidding.
I'm on vacation.
I'm at camp.
White bikini? No. I can't even remember. What I said.
You're volunteer.
Oh, she's
Volunteer.
oversensitive. So
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
always wants to have these conversations, and I'm like, I don't think it's inappropriate. What she's wearing is inappropriate. So, like, has there even been this idea of what appropriate is defined? You know, because I think there are youth leaders.
Well, and when girls invite friends who have never been to church before,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it can be a really tough, like, okay,
Yeah.
well, you know,
Yeah.
first shot here. You don't, you know,
Yeah.
she doesn't have no.
Yeah,
has
and that's
no-
not when
Yeah,
you
totally.
can't expect them to
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
to know that.
So is it a student leader who you already have interaction with, and she shows up inappropriately dressed?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what's inappropriate? Just her skirt is too short. Like, I mean, it all really kind of.
Maybe an anonymous note.
That you drop in her
Somebody
lap while
gave
you're
this to
praying.
me to give to you. I don't even know. It's weird.
Well, it can be done. I mean,
Yeah.
it can be done, and there can be an environment where,
How would you do it?
well, I usually pull one of you aside and say,
Find a girl leader.
How
I
does
mean,
Doug
that's
handle any
just-
confrontation? Get somebody else to do it.
That would be the advice. I mean, I think any time it would be to find a girl leader.
Yeah,
and if you don't have a girl leader, again, a trusted parent, somebody that
Yeah.
is.
I think
And
that
it's almost worth skipping if you don't have that. I think, unless it's super inappropriate.
Yeah.
I feel like if the skirt's too short and you don't have a female leader to dress it, you just let it go.
and there may not be other options at that
But
point. I mean, you
relationship is
Totally,
important
yeah, the
too. I
context,
mean, we
who knows?
always come back to that at some point. That
Sure.
relational ministry and earning the trust and stuff like that. I mean,
Absolutely.
I've said stuff to girls before when there've been girls that have been my friends that I've known for a long time that they know I'm,
Yeah.
you know, older, not creepy guy, but you know, I mean, I wouldn't
Sure.
say it in every situation.
Well,
mean,
and I
but,
think you can talk as
but-
a youth worker. You can talk about that from up front. I've done that before, and I
Yeah.
you know, I just know like Tori, who grew up in our high school ministry, is now senior in college. I've always been impressed with her, like how she dresses. She just dresses appropriate, and she I remember her telling me in high school, Dad, it's really difficult to dress modest.
That's hard. You got to work for it a little bit.
Yeah, because what is being sold and what everybody's wearing and the whole bit.
Hmm.
Which I would never
Wear
thought.
sweats and t-shirts, what I say.
Yeah.
It's good. Look on anybody.
That's what my daughter's
Well-
gonna wear.
Neely.
Sweats on a man. Come on. What's happening? You tell them that's appropriate?
Well, consider the source.
What's inappropriate about sweats? They're great. They've even got the
let's call an end to
elastic
this.
down at the bottom.
Let's
Keep
call
your
an end
ankles
to
warm.
this, and let's keep this conversation going at lunch. Bring your iPad so we can hear Bernard say that again.
Yep.
And
Soft,
Neely,
see?
great to have you here. Thanks for
Great,
sitting in.
great
Yeah.
advice.
Congratulations on the book. I'm excited to get it in the hands of Tori and Cassie and Kathy, my wife. Maybe it'll come before Christmas vacation for us.
And you
so-
won't have to buy him a gift.
not a bad idea. That's right. That's right. Love you. Love your ministry. Love your heart. You're fabulous.
Feel free to come back anytime.
Katie, you don't get to invite people on the show yet. Just kidding.
It's okay. I'm okay.
Hey,
I'm new.
Matt doesn't get to tell people who gets to invite people. All right, let's end this thing.
Like anybody believes
It
that.
was weird
All right.
you telling me what to do.
All right, bye.